3, 2, 1, let's go! Hi everybody and welcome to another exciting edition of Boring JavaScript. I'm your host, the Virtuoid, aka Mike Smith, and today we're going to be talking about the push method on arrays. But not only that, we're going to cover its first cousin, the pop method, its second cousin, the unshift method, and its second cousin, once removed, the shift method. Each one of those are wonderful for controlling the elements at both the ending and the beginning of your array. Want to see how it all works? Well, let's get started. So let's cover the first of our four methods, the push method. And the push method will put elements at the end of your array. So let's see how that works. Here is my array. It's an animals array. It has 9 different elements in there, indexed 0 through 8. And here is the push method. Now the push method will take each argument that you specify in the parentheses and add them one at a time to the end of the array. Now I just have one argument here, my variable dinosaur, which is declared here in line number 5. I could have put more arguments after dinosaur and it'll just add them one at a time at the end of the array. Now, what do I mean by the end of the array? The end of the array is anything that's after the last index. Cat here is index number 0, lizard is index number 8. So dinosaur will come in at index number 9 or at the end of the array. So what I should expect here is I should expect my animals to be 9 different animals long on the first console.log. I do the push, and after the second one it should be 10 with dinosaur at the very end. You see if it actually happens? Let's go into node, type in node push. And yep, that's exactly what happened. Well, here's my before. As you notice, there's no dinosaur there. It just has 9 different items. And here's my after with dinosaur at the very end after lizard. So dinosaur came in as the 9th index. Now, notice that my dinosaur variable is a string, and I have all but strings inside my array. Do I have to push a string because there's nothing but strings in my array? No, of course not. This is JavaScript. You can push anything you want. So let's just do something here real quick. Let's flip over to some other code I've got. Let's make a copy of it and let's throw it in here. And let's see what I've done. So now I still have dinosaur, no problem there. I now have a bird, which is an object here. It has a name, a type, and a color. Here's my before statement. Here's my after statement. I am pushing dinosaur and then pushing bird. And now I could have actually also said this, and it would have worked just as fine, but we'll keep it like this, make it nice and simple. So I'm pushing dinosaur, then I'm pushing bird, and then I've got the after that comes with it. So what I should expect here is before, just the same as before. Dinosaur will come at the very end, and bird will come after that, and there should be an object after dinosaur. Let's go to node and find out. Yep, that's exactly what happened. Same as before, but after is a little different. I got my dinosaur at the end, but then I also have the object. So the push will push anything onto an array. If you want to make that a boolean, a number, a map, a weak map, whatever, it will still push it to the end of the array. So now let's take a look at the cousin or the opposite of push, and that's the pop method. Let's take a look at the pop method of an array. Now push, if you remember, pushed elements to the end of the array. Pop pops them right back off at the end of the array. Real simple to use. Let's show you how it works. Here's my array, and what I've done here is I went ahead and pushed dinosaur back onto the array just like we did in the previous video, so that my first console.log will have dinosaur at the very end. Here is the pop method. Specifically, there are no arguments on the pop, and it will do 2 things. First of all, it will modify your original array to remove the last element. And again, what do I mean by last element? That would be the final element of the array that is not 0, basically. It's like, for instance, cat here is 0, lizard is 8, dinosaur will be 9. It will pop off the 9th element, in this case, dinosaur. So not only will it modify the array by removing that last element, but it will also return that element as the final result of the pop operation. So what I should expect when we do the console.log after animal should be back to where it was as normal, and my lost animal, the one that got popped off the array, should be dinosaur. And again, why dinosaur? That's because I pushed it here in line number 5. Show you how it works. Let's go to node, pop. So before, as you can tell, there's dinosaur because we had pushed it on there. Afterwards, notice dinosaur is now missing from there, and that my lost animal is indeed dinosaur. That shows you that the pop method will take the elements off at the end of the array and return the very last element. So what happens if the array is empty? Well, let's find out. I've got some code here, so let's just take that code and let's replace all of that. So now my animals array is completely empty, and I'm going to try to do a pop, and then I'm going to show you what happens with animals and what the lost animal is going to look like. So, is it going to run? Are we going to get an error? I don't know. Let's find out. Let's flip back over to node, clear our screen, type in node.pop, and ooh, no error. So what happens here is that actually nothing happened because there were no elements in the array. And what gets returned from pop is undefined. So that's something important to remember, is that if there's nothing in the array, pop will still execute correctly, won't throw an error, but it will return to you undefined. So that way you will know if you don't have any elements left in the array. Of course, you could figure that out from the length of the array, but pop is another way you can figure out whether you don't have any elements in the array or not. So now we've covered push, we covered pop, that takes elements, it pushes elements and takes elements away from the end of the array. What about the beginning of the array? Well, that's where unshift and shift comes in, and we'll cover those next. So we've covered what pushes and pops off of the end of the array. What pushes and pops off the beginning of the array? Well, that's unshift and shift. So we'll first cover unshift, and unshift will push elements to the beginning of the array. So it works exactly like the push method, except it goes to the beginning of the array instead of the ending of the array. So let's take a quick look at that. Again, here's my array, here's my variable, and here is my unshift command. Now, just like the push command, it will take multiple arguments and add them to the beginning of the array one at a time in the order in which they appear. So in this case, I'm going to unshift dinosaur onto the animals array. So I should expect the before to be just like we've seen before, you know, the element of the array of my 9 elements there. And afterwards, I should have an array of 10 elements just like the push, except that dinosaur will now be at the very beginning instead of at the very end of the array. Want to see how that works? Let's take a look at node and type in node unshift. Now there's my before with my 9 elements. I've got my 10th element. Notice dinosaur is not at the end like before. Dinosaur is now at the beginning. So unshift works exactly the same way as push. It adds elements to the array, except that it adds it to the very beginning instead of at the very end. Now, do I have to add just strings? Just like in push? No, I can push anything not push, I can unshift anything I want. Just remember that unshift will go to the very beginning of the array. So now let's take a look at the opposite of unshift, and that is called shift. That's next. So unshift puts elements to the beginning of the array. What takes it back off? The shift command. And just like the pop, its job is to remove elements from the array. But unlike pop, which takes elements off of the ending of the array, shift takes it off the beginning of the array. So let's take a look at that. Here's my array, same as before. Here is the shift command, and just like the pop, takes no arguments, and its job is to modify the array by removing the first element or the 0th element out of the array. What gets removed is then returned as a result of the shift command. So what should I expect here with this code? Well, I am unshifting dinosaur to the very beginning of the array, so I expect my first console.log here to have dinosaurs at the beginning. I do my shift command, which will take dinosaur right back off of the beginning and put it into the variable lost animal. So I should expect my console.log to be just the same as my array at the very beginning here with all 9 elements, and my lost animal to be a dinosaur. You want to take a look at it? You think it's going to work? Of course it's going to work, or else I wouldn't be showing it to you. So let's go node shift. And before, as you can tell, there's my dinosaur. And my after, my dinosaur is now gone, and my lost animal is indeed a dinosaur. So as you can tell, shift has taken the first element dinosaur off of the array, so the array has been changed and it has returned that element as a result of the shift command. So unshift puts elements to the beginning of the array. Shift will take those elements right back off. And that's all there is to the array push, pop, unshift, and shift methods. I hope you enjoyed our video. Hope it didn't bore you to death. You can see all of our videos at www.boringjavascript.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel or see everything we got at www.thevirtualoid.com. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you later.